You might be the highlight of their day.
Good morning. Happy Friday. I have Neuro Coffee in hand and it is perfect. All right. A very busy Friday. This is intensive day 2, the unlearning day, if you will, for those of you playing the home game. So we're going to dig into today's Q&A, and this is a really cool video. There's going to be about 6 people that are going to really enjoy this one probably, but I thought it was a really important topic. Jordan is a student. He's about ready to go into work in an extended care facility, and so this is a difficult population, challenging population to work with. Because the adaptability windows tend to be rather small. There's risk of falls, and so Jordan's question revolved around that. It's like, how do we work with these people that might be a fall risk, that do have smaller windows of adaptability? And so we went through some approaches that I prefer, having some experience working in the extended care facilities, that is a little bit more enjoyable for the client and as well as the therapist in question. So again, I think if you're a student, you're going into a clinical rotation, this is going to be really helpful. If it's a population that you do work with and you're sort of reaching some barriers, this might give you some ideas as to how to make some progress with those folks that just seem like they don't really have, again, the window of opportunity to make some progress. So this is not like the typical video that we would do where we're talking about higher levels of performance, working with athletes, etc. But again, I think an underserved population, a very important topic to be discussed. If you would like to participate in a 15-minute consultation, please go to askbillhartman@gmail.com, askbillhartman@gmail.com. Put 15-minute consultation in the subject line so I don't delete it, and we will arrange that at our mutual convenience. Everybody have an outstanding weekend. Because of the intensive, the podcast will probably be up in the afternoon on Sunday. So be looking for that. Don't forget to go to the YouTube channel and subscribe so you can get all of these videos at will. And then I will see you guys next week.
Here. So I was wondering, my question's in regards, it might have been answered actually with your response to Andrew's question, but way back you made a post about older fall risk or geriatrics and doing a lot of expansive type of exercises. So like kind of like marching and then sit to stand and rolling and that sort of stuff. Yeah. And my thought process when I associate fall risk people, I also associate them with like a lot of comorbidities, but like osteopathic degeneration or osteoporosis and that sort of stuff. My question is, I think like when I think of changes that I'm trying to get physiologically for like osteopathic changes, I think more like compressive stuff, like under load. If that's my goal specifically, like if they have like osteoporosis or something, is that, but they're also a fall risk. Is there one that you might prioritize over the other? Do they go hand in hand, or can they?
Well, you've got so we're talking about an elderly population, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to understand, it's like, okay, how much shape change do you have available to you by constraint? Right.
Okay.
And so that becomes an element of limitation. But it doesn't mean that they don't have any. It just means that it's just to a smaller degree. That's why I like getting, like when I used to work in the nursing homes, I demanded that I had a big mat table so I could roll people around, right, and get the shape changes that way first. But there's always going to be limitations. I mean, and to use probably a little bit of a harsh term, they're kind of brittle.
Right. Do you find it difficult using a table?
Yes.
At first for a lot of them?
It's difficult, period, because again, you're battling a relatively unchangeable constraint. You have a small window of adaptability that's available to you, right? But that doesn't mean you don't try to work on that, because again, as you're rolling them, you're teaching them whatever shape that they can assume. You're teaching them how to feel internal changes in position, right? So if I roll you, your guts roll with you, and you might not be totally aware of that fact, but your brain knows, right? Your brain feels those shifts. And so that's how you teach people how to weight shift first. Like you don't stand them up in the parallel bars, yeah. Yeah. No, you teach them in this simple, easy way where they're really, really safe, right? And then you bring them up, right? But again, it's like you're battling a certain limitation of shape change, but continue to work on that within whatever tolerance that they have. When you're talking about like fall risks and things like that, you can still use load. You can still use asymmetrical loads. You can still use different foot positions and things like that, and take the same thing that you were working on the mat table and just stand it up. Because again, it's all turns, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, you're in a tough situation because, like I said, you just have a limited adaptability, but you gotta create the windows that you can. Just recognize they're going to be really small windows.
For sure. Do you ever have any issues with people that have had previous falls and they're just really uncomfortable just being on the ground?
They're scared.
Yeah, right. I don't know, do you have any neat trick to be like, don't worry, it's safe? Because it's hard I feel like it's just very hard to convince someone in that population, hey, I need you, maybe not on the ground, but hey, I need you to get on the table where you were injured last.
Yeah. So again, the mat table is a lot less scary than getting down on the floor. Again, it would be rare that you'd put a nursing home client on the floor.
Hopefully not.
Well, but see, one of the things that I want those people to be able to do, if it's possible, again, we're talking about depending on age and such and what their actual mobility is I want them to be able to crawl, right? So they can, if they do fall, that they can get to a quadruped position, and then they can get to something that can help them get up. And sometimes if you can just get them rolling, great. If you can't, then you got to get limbs to move. If you can create, like cross connect representations, there's some of your turns that will give them some measure of power output. So when you look at the people that like to take a dive in the nursing home, it's like they know they're falling. They just can't move fast enough to protect themselves anymore. And so that's what you're going to try to recreate.
Okay.
Are you working in a nursing home right now, by any chance?
Will be.
Okay. Ladies like to dance. Okay. And if you want to practice weight shifting, find out what their favorite music is and dance. That way you don't have to do boring, stupid stuff, right? And they get their weight shifts in. Guys think like Tai Chi. Okay. All of this it's slow, it's methodical, it's rhythmic, it's weight shifts, etc. Right? So you do their little warm up. You do the warm up on the mat table. They do their rolling. They do some reaching. They do some shifty shift stuff. Right? You can do some sit to stand work. So you got your box squats. Right? And then you do your lunge patterns. But the lunge patterns are dance or they're Tai Chi. Get it?
So simple.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time instead of doing like straight leg raises in 4 planes and whatever it is that they teach you in school. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this becomes kind of useful, but again, construct it in a safe position first. Laying down tends to be safe. A lot of people don't mind laying on their back. They can roll from shoulder to shoulder. That's part of the rolling. That's a weight shift. You put them on their side, they roll, they roll, they roll. They can reach on top of that. They can step over themselves as they're laying on their sides, right? So you're creating all of this generalized representation of turning. You get them up into a seated position. You can do like an offset stance for a sit to stand in both directions. So now I'm promoting turns. And then, like I said, you get them up on their feet and you do something that challenges them to have to shift their weight so they can create those sensations. And it's more fun for you because there's nothing worse than drag therapy. You know what that is, right?
That like ball squeezes and like.
No, drag therapy is where, okay, Greta, we're going to get you up and we're going to walk with your walker down the hall, and you drag them down the hall, right? because that's exercise. It's more fun. It's more fun to make it a party in that atmosphere. Those people don't have any fun. Okay. Help them enjoy themselves. It's a miserable existence. You might be the highlight of their day. You might be the only person that actually talks to them. You know, it's a tough situation to be in for everybody. Make it fun. If it's fun for you, it'll be fun for them. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway,
Thank you. Thank you.
my advice to you.
I'll go practice my dancing.